look at a question the other day on one of the videos about suppressors, and I was like, you know what? That'd make a pretty good video discussing how to choose a suppressor and what the differences are. And so here we go. I'm going to start it off while I'm driving to the range today, up here in Monroe County, Missouri, where, you know, there's nothing. It's awesome. I love it. So, okay, let's start this off. The first thing you have to understand about suppressors is that they are energy transfer mechanisms. So let's do this will be a deep dive for some people. If you went to high school and your favorite class was drama, this is gonna hurt. If you went to high school and STEM was your system, okay, you're probably gonna be like, yeah, okay, this is a review. So this could be the deep end of the pool, or it could be a rain puddle. Just depends on where you fall into that. The first law of thermodynamics, okay? It's based upon the law of conservation of energy. And this is all relevant to suppressors, so hang with me, okay? I am going to skip all of the numbers and the letters and the Greek letters, because there's a bunch of those in there too, and the explanation. Here's what you need to understand. You cannot create energy. You can only transfer energy, okay? The lowest form of energy is heat. So there's advanced forms of energy and there's simplistic forms of energy. And the most simplistic form is heat, okay? There is a heat death joke in there for everybody who has taken physics classes, and you can laugh at it now. Because suppressors are simply assisting the universe dying heat death. Okay, now that the nerdy joke is over, that's what suppressors do. They take energy from the fast-moving gases that are making a sound, so you can basically call it sound energy, because sound is energy, and converting it to, guess what? Heat. Yes. Suppressors get hot. They get hella hot. Depending upon the caliber and the type of material, they can get well over 1,000 degrees. I've had my Surefire suppressors well over 1,000 degrees. I have totally screwed up the paint on one of my Surefire cans because I've had it so hot that it basically, oh well, who cares? Let's shoot it. So, why is this relevant? Well, it's relevant because suppressors are made out of a whole bunch of different materials, and some of them in certain platforms are good, and some of them in certain platforms are horrible. And those horrible platforms, if you use the wrong one, you'll destroy your can. Or at least tear it up really bad. The two main pieces of metal that are used in suppressors are titanium and steel. Steel is almost always in the form of a stainless steel. The reason is stainless steels can handle the higher temperatures better. There are certain types out there that are very good at that. Inconel, Stellite, 17-4, Cobalt 6. These are all really good high temp stainless steels. They're also really hard to cut and they're expensive. So that's pretty loud. Those cans have a tendency to be a little bit more expensive because of the high quality of the materials. But it does make them handle heat very well. If you are going to buy a suppressor and it's going to be used on a semi-automatic firearm, it needs to be a high temp stainless steel. Okay? High temp stainless steel. Titanium. Titanium comes in multiple grades, okay, grade 1 through grade 5. Grade 1 through grade 3 are typically titanium, and then grade 4 and 5 are titanium alloys, and then there's a bunch after that. I'm not going to get into the details. I'm not a metallurgist. I don't know all of that. I know enough to get in trouble. Let's put it that way, okay? So grade 3 and grade 5 are probably your most common in suppressors. Regardless, even the titanium alloys are really only good for about, I'd say 800 max. Most of them say 600 to 700. And then you start eroding the barrels, okay? Or not the barrels, the baffles. So the gases are moving very fast and they're very hot, okay? And Because of that, they can do something called ablation, which is removing particulate material as they're passing by. And you get the material hot enough, and the ablation effect starts to come into play, and you start to erode those baffles. The first baffle that's getting hit is going to be the one that erodes the worst. I think I have a picture of one. It's a Thunder Beast that was used on a Shorty 556, and you can clearly see that there's ablation on that first baffle. Now, it's not the worst thing in the world, but eventually your suppressor's just going to have really jacked up baffles in there, and it's just not going to suppress like the way it should. If you do that, you're just going to continue to erode it. It's a trade-off. So the one that I have a picture of was being used on an AR by a lady who she obviously didn't have male upper body strengths because she's female, and she was in China. She was fairly petite, and so it was a trade-off for her, and it didn't really matter, okay? So she's gonna kill that thing, and she's gonna kill the barrel, and she's gonna kill a whole bunch of ammo, and she's gonna turn around and she's gonna replace them and keep going, because she shot a lot. And that's the trade-off. Is sometimes you make that decision to make it a perishable commodity for the weight loss. You can do that, but most people don't want to do that. So here's what I recommend. High temp stainless steel suppressors for anything that you're shooting semi-automatic and you're getting it hot enough to ruin baffles. Titanium on anything that you're going to keep cool enough that you're not going to destroy it, okay? So bolt actions, they work great on bolt actions. Lever actions, anything that you just can't get a cyclic rate fast enough to really generate a ton of heat in there. Okay, so now you understand you can destroy a suppressor just using it normal. Next portion of the topic is you have to have enough baffles, and you have to have enough volume capability, volume control. In other words, how much volume will the suppressor hold to make it quiet. I can buy a SOCOM 556 Mini and throw it on a 10.3 556 barrel, and it is going to suppress it. It's not going to suppress it very well though, because the volume capability and the lack of baffles in comparison to how much gas I'm pushing into the suppressor, it's too much, and so you're just pushing gas out of the end of the suppressor at the same speed, and it's loud. You need a bigger suppressor in that situation. You need a full-size SOCOM 556, the RC2, and then it suppresses really well. So you have to have the right size, really. So I use my SOCOM 556 Mini on 14.5 and longer inch ARs, and it's the decibel difference between that and the full size is a push. It's just, I can't hear any difference, and because of that, it's a lot smaller, it's a lot lighter, it's a lot easier to maneuver. It makes sense. So the smaller 556 cans, which I would consider a specialized can because you can really only use it on 556 and they're made for ARs. Great choice, but it doesn't give you a lot of flexibility, right? It doesn't give you short barrels, and it doesn't give you other calibers. Conversely, a larger 308 suppressor that's made out of a high temp stainless steel will give you the ability to use it on multiple platforms. So I also have a Surefire 762 Mini, which is the same size as the RC2, which is a full-size SOCOM 556. It's just a bigger hole. And I've used that on 6.5 Grendel, 6.5 Creedmoor, 308. I think I even shot it off of my 300 Win Mag. I think I did. I tested it on 300 Win Mag too. And 556. It works. Is it perfection? No, it's not. The bigger the hole, the more gases are going to escape, and therefore the less efficient the can's going to be. They give you more flexibility, but they are at the cost of a little bit louder, okay? There's no such thing as a free ride. But that flexibility in a first can is a big deal, because now you can use it on a whole bunch of different platforms. With that said, that usually means that you have to buy a whole bunch of different adapters for different firearms, and that way you can use a can on all of the different ones, and that does add up. Surefire adapters are not cheap, where Silence & Co adapters are a lot cheaper, and sometimes they're easier to get into. And then you can start buying what I would consider individual or specialized suppressors, right? You can buy a 6.5 titanium can for 6.5 Creedmoor or 6.5 PRC, or you can buy 30 cal and titanium and use it on a whole bunch of different bolt actions, and then have high temp stainless cans and use those on your ARs, that's pretty much what I do. You can optimize the suppressor that you're going to use on the gun after that, right? Having that one variable, and then you can optimize afterwards. With that said, let's talk about pistol suppressors. Suppressing a handgun, pistol, centerfire cartridge pistol is a waste of your money and time. Don't do it. I'm telling you, don't do it. Everybody thinks it's going to be fucking cool. It's not. It's dumb. I have one. Yeah, I have one specifically to take people out with, put my can on there. I have a 9mm can. And go, here you go, shoot it. And then they shoot it and they're like, wow, this is inaccurate. It's uncomfortable. It's unreliable. Makes your gun less reliable. And you end up getting powder and particulate shot back into your face on a regular basis. This is not fun at all. And it's like, yeah, don't do it. Okay? Handgun suppressors on a pistol caliber carbine might be one of the funnest things that you'll do with your clothes on, okay? Especially with subsonic ammo, it's pretty badass, okay? So, there is a reason for them, but don't think it's gonna be that pistol. It's just not. It's dumb. And I know there's gonna be someone that's gonna post on here, oh my God, I love mine, I do it all the time. Because there's always that one person. Well, I know about 3 or 4 million other people that are like, don't do it, it's dumb. So, think about the percentages. That one weirdo versus the endless masses that say don't do it. Okay, enough of that. Rimfire suppressors. Always buy a rimfire suppressor, 22 long rifle, 22 mag, 17 HMR, and 5.7 that will take the Magnums and the 5.7. Don't buy a 22 only suppressor. It's not worth it. You're paying the same amount of money, and it's not as strong. Okay, it's just not worth it. Don't do it. When you buy a rimfire suppressor, because those things are like a gateway drug. Holy shit, you want Hollywood quiet? 22 long rifle on a pistol with a can on it? Dude, it's all the fun. Get the better one, and it needs to be made out of titanium or stainless, or a combination. And it needs to be able to be taken apart and the baffles come out so that you can clean it. Because you will have to clean it. Rimfire is dirty as shit. And if you don't clean a rimfire, it's going to fill up with gunk, and it's nothing more than a barrel weight at that point. It just won't work. So you have to clean them. Because you have to clean them, aluminum is out. Period, out. Aluminum will react with most of your highly caustic cleaners. Okay? Aluminum's bad. No aluminum. No aluminum. If you can do anything about suppressors, avoid an aluminum suppressor. If there's any aluminum in it, cannot stress that enough. Okay? So this dwells off into a lot of the technical stuff afterwards. Like right now, what we're seeing is a trend for companies to come out with suppressor adapter systems, not muzzle adapter systems. So a muzzle adapter is a muzzle brake, right? And you put that on the end of your barrel, and then the suppressor attaches to that, and it clips on and clips off instead of doing direct thread. The other way around is an adapter that screws into the suppressor, and you can screw that out and change it to a different one and screw it in. It's called hub, H-U-B, and it's the 1.375 by 24 thread pitch, okay? 1.375 by 24. This gives you the ability to use a whole bunch of different adapter systems. Yankee Hill Machine, I think Rugged actually has one. Silence & Co, it's their Bravo. The Q Cherry Bomb, So, and then there's Reardon. Reardon's an aftermarket company that doesn't make suppressors, but they do make adapter systems, okay? So they work great. And it's coming. It's the new thing, right? And it's making adapters and being able to pick an adapter system that may or may not work with yours well, okay? I recommend getting a hub can if you can. Now, if you're going to beat the living shit out of it, you're burning barrels out, you're doing hardcore 5.56 work, law enforcement, military, Surefire. Just get the Surefire, dude. I'm telling you, just get it. Everybody's going to talk about dead air. I have a picture log of how bad dead air does not actually come out straight. Their adapter systems do not plug in straight. And it's bad. So we've had to send them back. I have also a little mini catalog of their suppressors metallurgically failing. Dead Air doesn't make theirs. They're made by a company called KG Made, and I've heard that there's been some drama, and they're going to someone else. Okay, fine, whatever. The Surefires are made to take super bad punishment. There's some advantages there that I won't get into, so that this isn't a 30-minute video. Good choice. It's really tough to get around if you're hardcore shooting. If you're not, there are some lesser expensive suppressors out there that are super easy to get into, and they're made really well. The Yankee Hill Machine Turbo Series in 5.56 and Resonator, I think it's Resonator, in 308, for the money, I'm not sure that they can be beat. They are so fucking good. So it's shocking. I don't like their adapter system, but they're straight, which means that there's no deflection, right, left, up, down, whatever, when you're putting them on. So you don't have to worry about baffle strikes from being not straight, right? But it uses a ratchet system, and ratchet systems have a tendency to wear down, and then you have to replace them, okay? That's the disadvantage of those. But they're in a really, really good price place. They use good materials. They're tested. They don't fall apart. They're small. They're inexpensive. Really tough to get around. The other one that's fairly inexpensive that is really good to get into are the Otter Creeks. So the Otter Creek poloniums are about the same price range, but they don't come with their hub, but they don't come with an actual muzzle device. Okay, so those are my two inexpensive entry-level type suppressors that I would recommend. If you have a choice between direct thread or a suppressor adapter, always go suppressor adapter. Always go suppressor adapter. Why? Well, there's an angular cut on a suppressor adapter. There's typically two. There's one that's going to be straight, and then there's one that's going to be angled. It's going to be all the way around. Why? Because that centers the suppressor as it tightens down. The two angulars surfaces meet up, the one on the adapter and the one in the can, and it forces it to be centered. It also wedges the suppressor on there a little bit, so as it heats and cools and heats and cools and heats and cools, it doesn't come loose. Direct thread will come loose. I absolutely cannot stress this enough. Direct thread will come loose, and you will have to check it and retighten it. And if you don't, all of a sudden, your really amazing submitative angle gun will start spewing bullets out like a monkey with a handful of poo. Okay? They're gonna go everywhere. You're gonna be like, my gun's broke! It's not. Tighten your suppressor. With an adapter, you don't have to do that. So, always get an adapter. Make sure it's a high quality system. Alright, so here's the $64,000 question. You talked for 20 minutes and didn't tell me what to buy, except for a couple. Well, Yankee Hill and Otter Creek are where I would recommend for cheap entry on high temp. Okay? Silencer Co., mid-range, good to go. Surefire, it's a little bit up there. B&T, it's a little bit up there. Some of the newer cans are coming out. They're made with something called sintered metal. It's basically 3D printing with metal is what it is. They do powder, and then the laser shoots it, pew pew, and then it turns into a little puddle, and it goes pew 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 pew, and it just keeps making it and building it up, right? Doesn't work without the sound effects, by the way. So, I'm turning here. Hold on, give me a second. So sintered metal is stronger. Yeah, it is. And that's why they're all going to it. It's easier and it's stronger. So if you can get a sintered metal can that has all of those attributes that I was talking about, like a high temp, like Inconel or Stellite, then go for it. B&T, they're a little bit more expensive, but they're tough, and they are sexy as fuck. Yeah, I've been looking at them a lot. Great choice, okay? So titanium cans. Which titanium can? Thunder Beast. End of story, Thunder Beast. If you're going to get one, get a Thunder Beast. If you can't get a Thunder Beast, there's a bunch of other companies that are making pretty good cans out there in titanium, right? But it ain't going to be a Thunder Beast, right? It's just not going to be. Sorry. It's not going to be as good. That's my feelings on that. What about the Q cans? They got cool names and shit. No. I will slap your fucking hand with a ruler. No, don't do it. Okay? So, the other one is Dead Air. No. Everyone thinks, the tactical gear queers think that thing is the most amazing piece of equipment on the planet. They suck. I've seen too many of them fail. I've seen too many of them not straight. I have seen one that was put on a law enforcement agency's gun for long distance shooting in the Denver metropolitan area. And you know who I'm talking about if you're watching my video. And his shit went from shooting half minute of angle to holy Jesus Christ, where are my bullets going? Okay? He took it off. We put a different can on there. We put a Surefire on there, believe it or not. And it went back to half minute of angle. They suck. Do not use them. Okay? So those are my recommendations. What other company for titanium? It's Thunder Beast, really. I mean, dude, wait. If you gotta wait for it, just wait for it. It's worth the wait. They're that good. I know. I have like, well, we won't discuss how many I have. My wife watches this. We won't discuss that. Anyway, those are my recommendations. Start off with a general purpose can, a high temp. You can use it on everything and then work there into the specialized ones. I own a lot of suppressors and I've sold so many suppressors, there's no way that I can count. Oh, one last thing. Okay, one last thing. Flow through cans. They work. Flow through cans work and they do lower the back pressure. Okay? They will also fill up with shit if you don't clean them every 1,000 rounds or so thoroughly. They will fill up with shit and all of a sudden your can will work like a normal can. So you have a choice. You want lower back pressure? Cool. Buy one. Clean it all the time. Clean it. If you don't want to clean it all the time because you're law enforcement and you refuse to do that, because that's pretty much what all law enforcement does with their shit, then get one that's not flow through. If you think flow through is cool, it's going to be cool for 5,000, maybe 10,000 rounds. If you don't clean it in that time, you're done. I have videos of me trying to clean that shit out of an OSS. End of story, brother. So make that choice. Do you want to clean it all the time, or do you want lower back pressure? It's a choice, and there's no such thing as a free ride. So that's it. If you have any other questions, post them in the bottom, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. Expect to spend $1,000 for a can. I mean, that's kind of how it works. So, good luck.